hear me now?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted, anybody ever heard of Ron Neller? Okay, I think the most powerful, is louder? Okay. Oh, is that better? Okay, all right, there we go. I think our most powerful tool, for me anyway, is somebody who was an evolutionist who went to be a creationist based on the evidence. Like Dr. Jerry Bergman, you know, like Lee Strobel. And Ron Neller, he speaks for CMI, or he did, and he was, for 30 years, he was a fluvial geomorphologist, right? A flood guy. He would chase the floods and see how it worked on the creatures of the earth, and he's been washed away, he's been knocked out, he's been shot at. Just a really, he's lived all over the world, really. And what I really like about that testimony is after 32 years, he looked at the evidence and he determined there was a worldwide flood. You know, not a bunch of little floods, but a worldwide flood, because the inconsistencies of what he was being taught and what he was seeing. And so he came to the realization there was a worldwide flood. And they said, well, the Bible says there's a worldwide flood. And he just said, maybe there's a God. And boy, does his professors not like that, because he was running the department, he had government contracts, he was the top dog in this area. And he said, maybe there's a God. And then there was I think it was a biologist who kept on him, you know. How can you say there's a God? I'll prove he doesn't exist. And he goes, well, just read the book. And so then she comes back and says, why is there all this killing in the Bible? And he goes, what killing? You know, and he goes, right here. And he goes, I don't think you're supposed to read that part. I think you're supposed to do the Gospels or something. And she goes, just bring me to your church and I'll prove God doesn't exist. And he doesn't have a church because he's an agnostic. So he eventually brings her to, how does that go? An agnostic brings an atheist to church. Yeah, it sounds like a joke, right? Wow. And eventually, they're just proud professors. What's the drums doing up there? Where's the stained glass windows? And all this, they're just yelling, you know? Just be quiet and sit down. It's really fun listening to him tell the story, but they listen and then they hear the gospel. And they both get saved. So God can do miraculous things, and that's not the end of the story. I don't want to give the rest of it away, but yeah, it's a really, really neat ending to that. But he had surgery where he had a cancer in his brain or something, and they had to take surgery, take his face off, and take something out, and they cut his left optic nerve, and he could still see out of it. He said he could read the Bible, but he couldn't read the menu. So I think God's a lot more powerful than we give him credit for. So I encourage you to listen to any one of his talks on YouTube, Ron Neller. And the thing that really grabbed my attention was those water gaps. You know, those water gaps, you know, where it should flow around it, but it doesn't. He brings up Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I think that's what it is. There's this S ridge, and the river cuts through all three ridges, you know. And then it goes upstream, and it cuts through two more. And that was one of the strong arguments for it. Okay, so that's one thing I thought you would enjoy. And the other thing is we're all paying taxes, right? What are we paying for in our textbooks? I went through our 2024 textbooks in 2024 and found a bunch of errors. They're saying our eyes wired backwards. Well, the Smithsonian says, no, it's fiber optics. It's there for a reason. They say that life can form in water. It's like, no, I can't. There was a NASA scientist and Dr. Sarfati that say, no, water breaks apart the molecules faster than they get put together. And then they were saying, they still had Haeckel's fake drawings in there, images of Haeckel's fake drawings. And that was proven long 100 years ago, based on the new scientist. And what else was there? There was, in 2019, in the book it said the Earth's oldest rock was found near Hudson Bay in 2008. Well, in 2019, NASA came out and said the Earth's oldest rock was found on the moon. Yeah. And it was formed 12 miles beneath the surface. You know, and it's like, well, how's that going to happen? Well, the hydroplate theory would explain that. You know, and I pointed these things out to the curriculum director, and she said, we're just teaching state standards. And I said, well, what standard says we're 1.6% different from chimpanzees? Yeah. Well, by the way, I debated a science teacher, Planet Peterson, and I asked him, which genome's bigger, the human or the chimp? He goes, I don't know. And the chimp is bigger. It's like 200 million base pairs bigger, and it's like 6 or 7% bigger. So how can something that's 6 or 7% bigger be 1% different? And then if you go into minuteearth.com and on YouTube, it talks, are we 99% chimp? And it talks about how they eliminate like a third of the base pairs. You know, we're at 1% if you eliminate 18% of the chimp and 25% of the human. And that's a secular model. So I bring all this stuff, and the curriculum director, she says we're just teaching state standards, and I asked that question. Then I got an email from the superintendent. Did she say we're going to contact the publisher? No, she said we're going to contact no, she said we contacted a law firm in our response. And so then I went to the school board, and I went there for 6 months, and you can see this on my YouTube channel. It's a school board thing, school board playlist. And I went in there thinking we all want accurate textbooks. And I would come out realizing they're bureaucrats. They'll teach what the state says, whether it's right or wrong. And yeah, so I encourage you to check. Oh, okay, yeah. Anyhow, yeah, so I'll just leave it at that. Check out Ron Neller and check out NASA's oldest rock on the moon. And you'll be blessed as far as geology goes. Thank you for that.